Broadcasting from Silicon Valley, California, this is Conversations with Jennylyn.
You're watching Conversations with Jennylyn. And you know by now, my goal is to bring you the best of the best and to share them with you. And today, we are in Trinidad and Tobago once more. And my guest is the famous Peter Elias. And how can I not include him in this series? He is one of Trinidad and Tobago's top fashion designers. He has entered many contestants in the Miss Universe, Miss World, all of the pageants, and he even had one win. Miss Universe some years ago was a contestant that Peter entered. Peter, welcome to Conversations with Jennylyn.
Thank you very much. Thank you for including me, Jennylyn. And for people out there, Jennylyn is cheating because she's my cousin, so she's slightly biased. Okay, but Trinidad is a small town, and I'm one of the, I guess, known designers and stylists here, and I enjoy my field of business here. It's wonderful that, you know, in a small town you can make a difference sometimes.
Well, Peter, I know you've made a big difference because Miss Universe, what is her name? Wendy Fitzgerald?
No, Wendy Fitzwilliams, she won in 1998, and she was just a gorgeous woman. She's still a gorgeous woman. But when I began working in pageants in the early 90s, not specifically with the intention of running them, I ran them for several years. But I was young, I was just back from university, and I had started my fashion business, and I wanted an opportunity to expose designs and glamour. And in the Caribbean, we don't have many glamorous events that are gowns and couture-like. So the Miss Trinidad Tobago pageant, which fed people to both Miss Universe and Miss World, allowed me that opportunity. And Wendy was somebody whom I encouraged to enter. And I mean, she's a spectacular woman. She's so gracious. And I'm not surprised she won. I told her that she was going to win. I don't think she believed that she would win, truthfully. But she's a very special human being. But on the flip side of what we did, even though for many, many years, I actually ran it for so many years. And in my 15 years of doing this, we placed in the finals 11 times. And,
wow.
Yeah, we did really, really well between Miss Universe and Miss World. But Jenny, in Trinidad, in the Caribbean, a lot of the girls that participate in this are not always the women of means, whereas in Venezuela and Colombia, more prestigious women participate, sometimes the wealthier ones. In the Caribbean, sometimes this is an opportunity. Like one of my favorite stories in this pageant business, now that it's allowed me the opportunity to style and be imaginative and work with a vision, because when you send a delegate out to the world, it's not about just a gown, it's an entire 3 to 4 week wardrobe, hair, makeup, and as a stylist, sometimes it's not only what I create, it's pulling other looks together and changing moods. It's very exciting. But coming out of the Miss Trinidad Tobago experience for me, just working with young women and seeing the developmental stages, that for me, having left that process, was probably the most rewarding. Now that I'm a father of 2 girls, for me, I think I'm a better equipped father as a result of my years of doing this stuff. One of the delegates that this story warms me very much, her mother sold vegetables on the street like a vendor in the east, like Tunapuna or somewhere like this, on the eastern main road, which you may know in Trinidad.
Right.
And this is her daughter, who is today, I mean, she did remarkably well. I sent her to both Miss Universe and Miss World. She was a finalist in both pageants. She is a certified accountant. She's a director at one of the establishments, if not young another. One of the first campaigns we did, I got her 50,000 TT dollars, which we did not, I took from her. She now owns a beautiful townhouse in a gated community. We used that money as her down payment. It was, you know, and those are the things that, for me, looking back, are the most memorable, the most special, because these are opportunities. Even the girls that didn't win, didn't represent Trinidad or go abroad, seeing their development, their advancement, their physicality. Because what I find is the best thing a woman has, it's not just her beauty, it's her confidence. And that was remarkable over all these years, seeing that growth. So not to minimize the effort of the fashion aspect, which is my greatest love, but at the end of this experience, I realized the fashion was probably the least important to me, as ironic as that may sound.
It's not ironic at all. And like you say, it takes confidence and drive.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, it doesn't matter where you've come from or what you've come from, it's what you do with the opportunity of being here on this planet and having healthy life. But Peter, you've designed clothing that I've worn. You probably can't even remember. Before you started entering contestants, when you first opened your first store, I came to visit Trinidad and I was with the family. And I came to your store and we picked out some fabrics and you got a local designer to make me some clothing. And I wish they were eternal like we are until we die, because I loved them. And maybe what I need to do next time I come to Trinidad is make some time for us to do that again, because I absolutely love your fashion sense.
Thank you.
So if you go to Trinidad, no, I am not biased. I am not. I mean, listen, I call things as they are. And so if you are someone watching my show and you go to Trinidad, you have to look. Peter, what is your store called now?
It's called Peter Elias, just my name. I mean, we have a presence on Instagram, on Facebook. We have a lot of followers. It's exciting. I mean, the social media has changed, made everything so much more accessible, much more so.
And you have more than one store, is that correct?
Yes. We have a couple of stores. We separate men and career from women. And now we're opening a new one in the Long Circular Mall, which is a prominent mall here next to, in a good spot. So so we have that new opportunity happening soon.
Well, I have to tell you, I'm very proud of you. When I come home and I see your name on a building, I go, that's my cousin. And I am so proud of all his accomplishments. Now, Peter, how have you been affected by COVID-19? How has your business been affected?
Everybody's business. I mean, there was a retail index in the US that spoke to 80% decline or 79-point-something% decline in retail clothing in April, which is, we just opened back up 2 weeks ago. So I speak from this new reference. So we're working with, the staff is now on shifts. We were anticipating this reopening with the lower demand. Restaurants just opened a few days ago in Trinidad. So everything is on a very, very low, slow growth, which is expected. I mean, we're just maintaining the course. I feel very positive. We just have to work harder at what we do. I mean, it's simple as that. But the thing about it is, lifestyles change. After 60 to 70 days, habits are formed. So we need another 60 to 70 days to create a new habit where we get back into dressing. Friends of mine didn't wear makeup for 60 to 70 days. I mean, now they have to put back on these habits generally are formed after 60 to 70 days. It's what psychiatrists or psychologists, I mean, that's a study that I read. So it's, people are living very conservatively. And I mean, we're not as impacted as you are in LA or especially New York, where many of my friends and suppliers are, I mean, it's like ground zero in New York. We're in the Caribbean, we've been very obedient, we only have 123 cases.
I am so proud of you guys for that. I've done a few interviews with people in Trinidad, and I have to say, you did something right.
The government did a great job. We shut down early, and I think that Trinis are generally obedient. We're not all wassy. So we stayed in, follow the guidelines. I think that our rebound would be soon. I think that because our borders are closed,
yes,
infections are not going to spread. There are no new cases. Trinis that work on like cruise ships and foreign locations are coming back slowly. They're being quarantined. But the government has been so responsible. So I think that we are not going to have a severe panic. I think it's safe to say, I mean, that there's no COVID here, other than the few cases that are separated, that people are under quarantine.
What concerns do you have as a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago that when you open up your borders, the possibility of resurgences are possible? Do you know what precautions the government is taking to prevent this from happening?
Well, first of all, I don't think our borders are going to open until September. It's
Okay.
suggested. And then based on the current approach of this government, I expect that the rollout will be as responsible. I follow a fashion stylist on Instagram who just went to Jamaica, Montego Bay for the weekend, this weekend. And she went yesterday, and she was saying that she flew from Atlanta to Miami to Montego Bay, and that what she experienced in Montego Bay upon arriving, the checks, the temperature checks, the well-suited people, she said she felt very unsafe suddenly being in the US or coming from the US. She said because the precautions in Jamaica seemed so responsible and so steady, and they need you download an app where they can track you and all these sort and take your temperature daily to, I mean, she said she was just stunned that Jamaica is so responsible, and coming from Atlanta and Miami, she says in retrospect, she felt nervous to go back. When she goes back in a few days, so it's just, I think the Caribbean being a smaller country, region, being our area, and remember tourism. I mean, something that I overlooked, Jennylyn, is that this region, 85% of the income of our entire region is based on tourism.
Really? I thought it was more oil for Trinidad.
But Trinidad, but as a region, as a
Oh,
Caribbean,
the region,
Grenada, Jamaica, most of these countries, and Bahamas, the tourism. I mean, we forget that here, but as a region, when you measure the entire economy and all the income for all the people, majority of it is from tourism. So I guess we have to step it up as a region. We have to. So I expect that when we open up here, that our government will be equally as responsible.
Yes, and I noticed that based on what you've done now, I don't see your standards falling, right? That you will maintain, because if you don't, then you have the resurgence problem. Were you able to do business online, or was your business halted completely?
We did a small amount of business online, but as we speak, we're developing a website and a more interactive Instagram and Facebook for selling product. So this has forced me to have a stronger presence online, and that is just not yet finished. So that will be in the next few weeks. So the good will come from this, but I mean, I'm a bit of a caveman, so I move slightly slower than the average person.
Yeah.
But
and are people able in the US and other countries to purchase your designs? I think it would be great if we could do that online, Peter, because you are incredibly good. And I'm not biased. It's not because you're my cousin. I'm calling it what it is.
Thank you, thank you. I think that this will be a good, that when we are finished, we will be able to.
That would be great, because some of the nicest designs, some of the best designs I see sometimes are in little boutiques in Trinidad that local people design.
Yeah, there's a lot of talent here.
Yes.
Pottery. I mean, Trinidad is rich in culture, and I mean, the region, not just Trinidad, the Caribbean is a beautiful diaspora and a great expression, I think.
When you were entering women into the various pageants internationally, what kind of challenges did you face, if any?
I mean, I think that financially, that was the biggest challenge, because when we trained the women, when we had the pageant locally, when we had to groom the winner for representation abroad, to empower a woman and to make her feel beautiful, she needs to eat the right way, exercise the right way. I take the winners to New York and treat them like a queen. And I mean, it was a very expensive process. And I mean, in retrospect, it wasn't an enormous amount of money. It would cost me maybe 50,000 US per delegate when I was, I mean, because we funded so much personally. And some of them didn't have a car. I had to rent a car, rent an apartment if they lived very far, so they're in Port of Spain, all these things. So, I mean, it was a bit onerous to me, because many sponsors didn't see the value of that, maybe. And so I had to step in and fill the gap many occasions. And so money would have been my greatest challenge. But it was rewarding because the delegates, even today, when you speak to them 10, 15 years ago that participated, it changed their life. It gave them a new perspective. But for me, it was just very difficult, the finances. I mean, today I no longer do it because now I'm married, I have 2 kids, my life is, my focus are my children. We don't have a strong representation in Trinidad and Tobago, unfortunately, anymore. And I'm sure someone will rise to the occasion. I mean, there's a new effort with the Miss World organization, and they're very encouraging. They've been doing this for 1 or 2 years. But generally speaking, we've not had strong representation. My last delegate was in 2008 in the Miss World. She was either first or second run-up. She almost won. However, since then I gave it up, and we've not had strong presence. And I think it speaks to the financial challenge to all.
Mm-hmm. And so the country does not have finances because when they win, the country looks good.
And
right?
Small money for great PR. I mean, in retrospect, this is a delegate, world media is being seen. So when you think about 50,000 US for great promotion, it's short-sighted of the government not to invest. However, I mean, their hands are tied. They probably see me driving a Benz. Why do you want money for this? You could support it. I mean, so there are all these other, whatever.
It's a shame. But when someone wins, for example, the Miss Universe contestant that you entered that won, how does that benefit the country after she has won? Does it?
Oh, I mean, the first, in so many ways. I don't think it can be measured. One, the sense of national pride for every Trinidadian, how they must feel that a fellow sense of morale as a country, as a people, our capabilities. Amazing, that's priceless. Trinidad and Tobago just looks good to the world. It's great PR. I mean, if you speak to anybody who's in world media or world advertising, you can't pay for that. The positive association of a beautiful woman. It's short-sighted if a government does not see this. I mean, but there are all these things. There's national football teams, there's national gymnastic teams. They'll argue that that's even more, and the viewership of these pageants are seen by billions, not millions, billions around the world. I mean, when you look at the network returns and the network distribution channels of ABC, CBS, all the different companies, it's enormous money. I think it's a no-brainer to me.
I agree with you, and I hope that somehow you can begin doing it again and someone will finance the project because you are the best at what you do, and they will have a lot more winners if they would support you through this.
So too, but the world has changed. I think that social media and influencers on Instagram, that is something that's been around maybe for 5 years now. It's a new world, and I've seen a shift of focus. So I'm not quite sure. I mean, while I like the pageant business, I'm a fan. I loved it. I've done it for years, and I've seen great opportunities arise. I see the world shifting, the tide is changing. I really do see this. I mean, when I gave it up, my mother said, she was my greatest fan. Every time I did this, she supported me. And when I did give it up, she said, I'm glad you gave it up. I said, how did you see this? You always encourage me. She said, well, now you focus, do more charity work. She says, if you give up something like that, you do something even better. And now you can focus. And I always, when I think of missing the excitement and the pageant, I think of, okay, what good can I do to a greater amount of people? But I mean, when you did a pageant, when you were involved in that, it was a holistic approach. You ate and lived and got into her mind and focus, and it's all about just a woman's beauty, and each delegate was different. It's different strengths, different character, and it's about celebrating all that she is. It was like parenting a child, a year at a time. So interesting.
Well, God bless you for that. because you've enriched many lives. So
And,
although
and,
the
and I
money
was,
may,
and I was enriched by each one. Each
right.
experience was like a child to me in a way. Seriously.
Well, you see, God, the universe can only reward you richly for that, Peter. And I must ask you, what has Peter learned about himself during this pandemic?
It's COVID. You know, I think that, again, it made me think of my two children. My focus are my children. That's it.
And
Girls.
what
Just
would you
because I worry for them for the future. I mean, is there another pandemic that's going to happen? What career paths will they choose? Are they, because many businesses have been affected negatively by this pandemic. Will they choose a path that is not going to be affected by a possible pandemic? Or it's made me rethink my entire life. Even though I love styling and fashion, the frivolity of fashion seems unimportant in a time like this. Honestly, it's crazy.
Yes, because how many people even put, like you said, all these women that wore no makeup for months. And when people ring my doorbell, I look like I'm going somewhere because I do this every day. So I have to make an effort to look presentable from the waist up. We don't want to talk about what goes on from the waist down. I am wearing my ugliest pajamas and shoes because this is the only part that's important for these interviews. But if you're not going to see anybody or go anywhere, why make the effort? So I get that. And I understand what you're saying. Right now, people aren't going out. They're not looking for fashion. They're not looking. So it almost makes it feel seasonal. And I could see how something like the fashion, an industry as the fashion industry would suffer at a time like this. But we can't let ourselves get bogged down with worrying about our children in the future, because did we ever worry before we even had these kids or when they were first born that we would be faced with a pandemic like this?
No, but it just makes me think of, you've got to now plan ahead, plan for the
Yes.
worst scenario.
Yes.
You know, get your house put up. So, I mean, you asked a great question. How did it change my focus, my mind? I just want my children to be able to withstand whatever comes their way, pandemic and all. And that's just as a parent, I guess most parents probably.
Yes, it's a natural thing. I agree with you. So, Peter, you used to rub noses with our president at these pageants. Did you ever think that one day you'd be sitting there going, oh my God, I know that guy in the White House. We were doing pageants together. Isn't life interesting?
Life is so interesting. But you know, I must say, when he ran the Miss Universe pageant, what amazed me about President Trump was that he was very hands-on and very detail-oriented. You would not expect that of a man of his position who had so much responsibility, but I was amazed by his ability to focus on details, attention, have a vision, and that surprised me, that when he participated, when he owned the company, he had a very clear vision for the company, and he had great ideas. I mean, that you may not have expected that, but he did. So
is it now, I mean, don't kill me for this question. Is it amazing now to see this like completely different sort of?
Let's just leave it as completely different.
Yes, we're going to do that because we're diplomats. Anyway, Peter, what would you do different now in terms of business and your life in general because of this experience with COVID?
Speaking of the pandemic, it was so funny because I just told to my mom, because when I first heard about this thing in maybe late December, early January, I mean, we weren't rid of H1N1, SARS, and all these other diseases coming out of China that somehow were managed. And was one of the first years I sent a delegate to China was 2000 and I forget what year, early 2000, maybe 2005 or 2002, like this. China had just managed, I think it was one of those SARS or one of those diseases, H1, I forget the one. And I was sort of afraid. I said, I'm sending this young lady into this country, and you know, and she said to me when she got there that there was no fear, everybody was so professional in China about this disease. And so it was a very bold move of China to host the world for Miss World, because they welcomed the world in the midst of all this disease. And the world got, of course, the media of the world covered from Colombia to South America to Japan to wherever. It's in all the media, the delegates. So it's a great PR move to show, hey, there's no illness here. The whole world has come to us. The problem is that I initially thought that COVID would be maybe like this, where it will be managed and not have this spread. No, so in February when things started, you heard about Italy being overwhelmed. It was like, wow, this is real. So I think my initial reaction to COVID was like, shoot, I should shift gears and maybe open a funeral home. I said, are we all going to die? Because at that rate, remember, people just started to fall ill and die in February in Italy. And I'm thinking, my goodness. I mean, that's where, but I'll do a nice one, white with lots of palm trees or something. But I just thought that I became sad and morbid. I thought, shoot, everybody's just going to die. We have to shift gears. I'm going to open a funeral home. But then, of course, good media started to come. People were living, surviving. So.
And now this.
Yeah. New economy, new world, new change, new habits. But there'll be a cure soon. So we expect that.
Okay, I like your optimism. Rub it off on me.
So I just read on BBC a couple of days ago that there's a very inexpensive medication for those with COVID-19 that's managing it very well.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So, but there'll be a preventative injection soon, vaccine. I mean, I have faith. Yeah.
We have to, otherwise we'll all get depressed.
Yeah, this is going to be behind us maybe 6 months from now. Please God.
Right. We're almost out of time, Peter, and this is your time to answer this question that I asked to everyone. What haven't I asked you that you want to make sure you leave with people watching this segment?
I don't find that I'm special. You say that I'm a great designer. I think that I'm very lucky and blessed, I think. I have a great mom. She shaped my outlook. I feel optimistic most times about life. I'm very blessed that I've made and meet wonderful people. I have great relatives. I have great friends that I've met. God has blessed me with the ability to meet truly wonderful people. I just feel very blessed to be who I am and where I'm at. And COVID actually, good point. COVID allowed me to remember this and to acknowledge it.
That's wonderful. And I'm really grateful that you were able to carve out this time to spend with me, because one of the reasons I wanted to do this is we get so much information through the mainstream that people question. And it is questionable, because at the end of the day, the mainstream media survives on sensationalisms and ratings, and so they have to position themselves to get great ratings. But I wanted to share stories with wonderful, successful people as yourself in different countries, all types of people, from a perspective of what is happening to me right now, so that we can hear the perspectives outside of mainstream media. And I try to keep it in a really normal conversation. You were wonderful, and I wore this dress because you're a fashion guru, and I wanted to make you happy. So I went through my closet, and this popped out. So I had fun wearing it for you. It's been in my closet for years. I've never worn it.
But I'm honored then.
So every time I wear something,
the same thing. I mean, I'm very boring. I wear just dark colors that I enjoy, comfortable clothes. So unfortunately, I'm just wearing my uniform.
Well, Peter, every time I see you, you always look very stylish and classy. I think that a man who takes time to do that is someone you can't help admiring. So you always look great whenever I see you. So don't try to downplay yourself here. Thank you so much for this opportunity, Peter. And
Thank you for including me and considering me part of this. I am very grateful.
yes, at the end of this, I'm going to make a documentary, and I'm trying to include all different aspects of life in it so that we can see how different people are surviving COVID-19. So before I wrap this interview up, is there anything else you want to leave with the viewers about Trinidad? And especially people watching this show here in the US.
Yeah, I mean, my wife and a bunch of people, we were able to, and many others, many Trinidadians reached out to help those in need during COVID through the Catholic Church. And I have to say, I feel proud to be a Trinidadian, not just because the government were responsible, but the people from all walks of life helped others. Even the government's social programs that they put out to help those in need. I felt very proud of being part or a citizen of a country that my fellow citizens, not just my immediate family, but many people helped many people. And that I have to say, because sometimes as a Trinidadian, I want my country to be better. So I criticize, shoot, this should have been done. They could have implemented more of this. This ought to have been done more. And I have to say, I feel very proud of my people.
And you know what? That is wonderful, because I think life is dark and light constantly at play. And when the dark is dominating, if you could find a way to shed light, it balances it out, and it doesn't make it completely horrible. And that's the common thread I hear when I speak with people around the world every day, is there is a bright side to this. And that, I would say, is one of the bright sides. It's seeing it bring people together, because we're always busy running around in our own worlds, dealing with our issues and our families, and we often don't have enough time to do more for other people on a regular basis. And this pandemic has forced us into that. So thank you so much. Stay safe, stay beautiful, and I will send this link to you as soon as it's up.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching Conversations with Jennylyn. When a conversation is all you need to be inspired, as I'm sure this handsome gentleman has just done this last 30 minutes with me. Peter, thank you so much.